In a quiet village surrounded by dense forests and rolling hills, there lived a girl named Tara. Despite her radiant smile and helpful nature, Tara harbored a secret, a paralyzing fear of the dark. Her fear wasn't just of the night itself, but of the unknown, the unseen, and the imagined horrors that lurked within the shadows. Tara's life was shaped by this fear. She avoided evening gatherings, forest trails, and even dimly lit corners of her own home. Her fear whispered cruelly in her ears, convincing her that she was weak, different, and incapable of bravery. One day, an elderly traveler passing through the village noticed Tara's unease as dusk began to fall. He approached her with kind eyes and said, "Child, I once carried a fear like yours. It consumed me until I sought wisdom from the great monk Venerable Sangha, who resides in the sacred valley. Perhaps his teachings can help you too." Though hesitant, Tara knew she couldn't live in the shadow of her fear forever. Gathering her courage, she decided to embark on the journey to meet the monk. The path to the sacred valley was fraught with challenges. Tara had to traverse dark woods, cross roaring rivers, and climb steep hills. Every shadow along the way seemed to mock her, amplifying her fears. On the second night of her journey, Tara sat by her small fire, trembling as the forest around her came alive with the sounds of nocturnal creatures. A soft rustling nearby made her heart race. She gripped a stick tightly, ready to defend herself, but no threat emerged. Instead, a small deer cautiously approached the firelight. Tara watched as the deer sniffed the ground and settled near her, unbothered by the darkness. It was a quiet reminder. Not all things in the dark are harmful. Some, like the deer, are simply living their lives. This moment gave Tara a flicker of courage, and she continued her journey with a slightly steadier heart. After 5 days of travel, Tara finally reached the monastery nestled in the sacred valley. The air was serene, filled with the scent of blooming jasmine and the sound of distant bells. Venerable Sangha was seated under a large Bodhi tree, his presence radiating calm and wisdom. Tara approached him and bowed deeply. She explained her fear and how it had taken over her life. The monk listened attentively and then spoke in a gentle voice. "Fear is a shadow cast by the mind. It thrives in the absence of understanding. Stay here for 7 days, and we shall explore the nature of your fear together." On her first day, Venerable Sangha led Tara into a dark room and handed her a small candle. "Light this," he instructed, "and observe." Tara lit the candle, and the once menacing darkness receded to the edges of the room. She saw that there was nothing to fear, just simple walls and a wooden floor. "Darkness," the monk explained, "is not a force. It is merely the absence of light. When we bring awareness, the unknown becomes known, and fear loses its grip." Tara nodded, beginning to understand that her fear was less about the darkness itself and more about her imagination running wild within it. The next day, the monk took Tara to a cave at the edge of the valley. He asked her to step inside and call out her name. Tara hesitated but did as instructed. "Tara!" she shouted, and her voice echoed back. "Tara!" The echo startled her, but the monk chuckled. "What frightened you just now?" "My own voice," she admitted, feeling foolish. "Exactly," the monk said. "Fear often echoes our thoughts and feelings, magnifying them until they seem insurmountable. But remember, they are just echoes, not the truth." On the third day, Venerable Sangha handed Tara a spool of thread and led her into the forest at dusk. He asked her to weave a web between 2 trees. As she worked, night fell, and the forest grew darker. Shadows began to stretch and shift, but the monk remained silent. When Tara finished, the monk pointed at the web, now barely visible in the dim light. "Look at your web," he said. "In the dark it seems fragile and almost invisible, but it remains strong and intact. Similarly, your inner strength may not always be visible, but it is there, holding you steady." On the 4th day, the monk asked Tara to follow him into the forest at midnight. He carried a lantern and held it up, casting shadows on the trees and the ground. "Observe the shadows," he said. "Are they real?" "They're real in that I can see them," Tara replied, "but they're not solid. They can't harm me." "Exactly," the monk said. "Fear is like a shadow. It exists because of light and perspective, but it cannot touch or harm you unless you let it." This lesson resonated deeply with Tara. She began to see her fear not as an enemy, but as something she could understand and coexist with. On the fifth day, the monk led Tara to a cliff overlooking a misty valley. Below, a narrow path wound its way down, barely visible through the fog. "Do you trust me?" the monk asked. "Yes," Tara replied, though her voice wavered. "Then follow me." The monk began descending the path, his movements calm and deliberate. Tara hesitated, but she reminded herself of the lessons she had learned. Taking a deep breath, she stepped onto the path. Though her legs trembled and her heart raced, she focused on the monk's steady figure ahead. With each step, her fear lessened, replaced by a growing sense of accomplishment. When they reached the bottom, the monk smiled. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to move forward despite it. On the sixth day, Venerable Sangha instructed Tara to spend the night alone in the meditation hall, with only a single candle for light. At first, the flickering shadows on the walls made her uneasy. But as the hours passed, Tara practiced the breathing exercises and mindfulness techniques the monk had taught her. She observed her fear without judgment, allowing it to come and go like waves. By dawn, she felt a profound sense of peace. The darkness no longer seemed threatening. It was simply a part of the natural world. On the last day, Venerable Sangha asked Tara to revisit the cave where she had first encountered her echo. This time, she was to go alone. Armed with a small lantern, Tara entered the cave. The darkness enveloped her, and the echo of her footsteps filled the space. Her fear began to rise, but she paused, closed her eyes, and took a deep breath. "Fear," she whispered, "you are a part of me, but you do not control me." As she opened her eyes, the darkness seemed less oppressive. She walked deeper into the cave and found a small pool of water reflecting her lantern's light. In that moment, she felt a profound connection to herself and the world around her. When Tara returned to her village, she was a changed person. She no longer avoided the dark corners of her life. Instead, she embraced them, knowing that fear was not something to be feared, but understood. Her transformation inspired others in the village to confront their own fears, and Tara often shared the lessons she had learned. Number 1, fear is an echo of our thoughts, not the truth. Number 2, shadows are a part of light and perspective, not threats. Number 3, courage grows when we step into the unknown. Number 4, inner strength, though invisible, is always present. Moral of the story: fear is a natural part of life, but it does not have to control us. By understanding and embracing our fears, we can discover the courage and strength within ourselves. Like Tara, we can learn to walk through the shadows and emerge into the light. If you enjoy this story, please like this video and comment, and subscribe our channel Imaginea for more motivational story. Thanks for watching.